Hi everyone. Welcome to our session Supercharging Threat Intel with AI. I am Sai Kiran. I'm joined by Omkar Nimbalkar. We are here today to speak about how AI is revolutionizing the field of cyber threat intel. Let me quickly go into the next slide. Before we go into the deck, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Sai Kiran Uppu. I am a senior security researcher at Adobe with over 7 years of experience in both cloud security and threat intel. My main focus areas would be researching on advanced threats and also something related to cloud security. I constantly speak at various events like B-Sides. Excited to be here. Omkar.
Awesome. I will just grab the. Hi everyone. I'm Omkar Nimbalkar. I lead the cyber threat research and intelligence team at Adobe. I've been in cybersecurity industry for almost 12 years now. I started my career as a DevOps engineer, and from there I pivoted to cloud security when cloud was new and shiny thing in the industry almost a decade ago. And I've been working in cloud security for almost a decade. And then past couple of years, I started focusing on cyber threat research and intelligence. I also serve on various industry boards, primarily geared towards mentoring students. So the CAIC advisory board is really San Jose State University's board, where we really the goal over there is to shape the next generation of cybersecurity and AI workforce for our industry. With that being said, we will jump into the content. So this is the agenda of our talk. I'm going to introduce what is cyber threat intelligence, talk a little bit about intelligence and what is the problem space that we are seeing, for which AI is likely seeming to be a very nice solution to help us get faster with our intelligence work. And then Kiran is going to deep dive into the actual technical implementation about how we do this at Adobe. And then we will talk about some of the next steps, and we will take questions towards the end. So let's deep dive into what actually is intelligence. So to begin with, intelligence is ability to gather and interpret information to make informed decision. The goal really is to understand raw data, analyze it, and use it to make informed decisions for your organization or whatever that could be. That is like this definition of intelligence has proven to be true throughout the history, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the history as well. So, like, if you look at the history of intelligence, intelligence has really been there for a very long time. Since the human conflicts have started, intelligence has primarily been used as a way to understand your enemy, understand their capabilities, and use that as a means to get better at defending against them and to get better at having those tactical advantages to win the wars in the historical time frame, which is also true in modern cybersecurity warfare as well. And like there are some quotes over here, like if you have gone through or read the Art of War book, or the methodology that Master Sun has out over there, he really defines intelligence as to know the enemy and know about yourself. And if you have those two information or pieces of intel, you will always have benefit in the battles, no matter what the battle is. And this really timeline really shows about how intelligence has been there for almost since the human conflicts begin. And early methods of intelligence were really like human observation, messenger interception to get hold of those sensitive secrets, and also to all this was used to protect like sensitive secrets about wars and stuff like that. But what this really means for modern warfare. So moving forward, as the Cold War transferred, intelligence really picked up the pace, and during Cold War revolution, various government agencies were formed to really look at intelligence world, and they use different technology, different tools compared to historical context or ancient context, like miniature camera, listening devices, lot of satellite surveillance, and also signal intelligence, which more is like intercepting signals to get sensitive information to use it for espionage purposes or whatever it could be. Moving a little bit ahead into the invisible battlefield. So we are at a point where the modern cyber espionage has really rapidly grown, and the reason for this is really the evolving threat landscape. With everything connected to internet, with more digitalization of everything, our cyber threat landscape has also grown. And with this, we do see a lot of sophisticated threats out there. You all have might already known or heard about like advanced persistent threats, zero-day exploit developments, and also supply chain attack, which really are a means to invade trust in a software and really use that as a means to operate at very different scale. So let's talk about the watchers. So from there, the modern intelligence agencies, their methodology or philosophy over there is collect it all, process it all, exploit it all. And by collect it all, it's the data, whatever data is out there, collect it all, process it, to analyze it, to understand what is in that data, and really use it as a means to exploit it all, meaning it could be exploiting the adversarial's infrastructure. It could be meaning exploiting the adversaries that are trying to target your nations and stuff like that. And that's how like many government agencies that we see today in the intelligence world are really operating, like NSA, GCHQ, and also Five Eye alliances, which is made of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and USA, where they share a lot of intelligence across between them to get ahead of the adversaries that we all are facing. Because the more we share within the community about the bad actors, the more we are able to defend across. Now, moving from a little bit context of intelligence, talking about what specific problems we face in today's world of intelligence, it's obviously the data. And the reason for this is, if you look at any mid to large size organization, the data that they ingest and process, it is literally at petabyte scale every day. There is so much data getting into systems, and analyzing that through human analysis is getting harder as the data we are collecting is growing and growing. And to share this knowledge and analyzing those patterns and start predicting kind of what threats you really need to be concerned about, that has started to become a concern where human analysis is not able to scale through this data. And here are some stats about average alerts that typically any enterprise sees on daily basis. Out of which 78% teams are overwhelmed by the alerts. And likely the reason for this is all sophisticated SIEM vendors out there who just keep generating a lot of alerts, which becomes difficult for security operations center or any SOC team to go through and triage those alerts through a human analysis. And as a result of that, 45% of alerts never get investigated because the volume is just way too much to handle. And we typically see like 2.5% growth, annual growth in the data that the security teams are handling and dealing with every day. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, like the bottleneck here is really the humans. We all have been using technology for a while. We all have been thinking about automating things, and that has worked out for us for the past few years. But in today's world where the data is getting generated at a very unprecedented scale and it is just exploding over day by day, it has become really difficult to have manual triage being done, even with traditional automation capabilities that we have been using within the industry for a while. And this has led to alert fatigue because there are so many alerts. It's really easy to miss signals, which also increases error rates as you are investigating, or any SOC analyst that might be investigating. And there are also cognitive limitations in the way that humans can process and interpret data at any given point in time. And The data that gets analyzed is both in structured and mostly in unstructured format, especially when we think about threat intelligence. If you have read through any intelligence reports, there isn't a defined format. Industry is trying to standardize that towards tech and taxi, but that's not how in realistic world things are operating today. Most of this data gets shared in very unstructured format, which makes it again harder for humans to analyze it consistently or apply even automation to that unstructured data to have like a rapid response in place to counter that threat or to even analyze the threat. And then next slide please. And then there is always a time trap. We all are trying to get ahead of the adversaries. We all are trying to do things before something gets exploited or before the next incident happens within our environment. And attackers have to get it right only once. Defenders have to get right every time. We all have been hearing about that for years now. And this has started to become more and more challenging with this evolving threat landscape that we see today. This is kind of a sample timeline for any breach. Again, numbers are there, but it differs. But this is the ideal scenario that we see if you refer to any reports that gets published by all the vendors out there or the researcher community. Initial breach usually happens through compromised credentials or getting a foothold into your network. That's where attacker gains access to the system, which typically happens. That's where we start counting the breach timeline. And then within 15 minutes, they will start moving around within the network, begin exploring the network, trying to identify what the pivot points would be for them. And then the next step they would typically go towards is privilege escalation. Try to have persistence in your environment by escalating the privileges on whatever host or network that they might have gotten into. And the next step for them is to exfiltrate data, because at the end it is all about data, and data. We all here are here to protect our data, the softwares, the IPs that are in the software. And to have persistence, they will figure out a way to install backdoors in the environment. This timeline is getting shorter and shorter in this evolving threat landscape. And with this, like as the time passes, the damage that could have been avoided in the early timeline of the attack kill chain, that just increases, and there is more money and the finance numbers associated as you go down, and as there is more time for which the attacker has been persistence in your environment. So to overcome these challenges, we are experimenting with utilizing AI to get faster and better at disseminating intelligence in our day-to-day threat analysis that my team does. And Kiran will deep dive more into the solution that we are thinking and building here at Adobe.
As Omkar discussed about the problems and also the time trap and human bottleneck, right? So AI or LLMs or large language models emerge as a key tool in order to solve these challenges. So these large language models are generally trained on vast amount of data. They are trained on internet documents, books, and a lot of data, and with trillions on billions of parameters. So because these large language models are trained on such huge data, they are brilliant at doing context analysis, pattern recognition, and also generate human-like analysis. So not just synthesize some random data, but they can generate data that synthesizes human. So it generates ability to generate more synthesis. And you can see in the graph how the number of parameters is exploding, like in the billions and trillions. Also, let me quick primer to model context protocol. Because LLMs are trained up to a particular date or a cutoff, they do have knowledge limitations. So that's where MCP is like an open standard that comes in handy, where we kind of plug in various other thread feeds, open resources. Also, if you can think of it like it's like a secure diplomatic channel for AI to get various other resources that it doesn't have knowledge about it. So it provides authenticated control access to sensitive data, and this way it standardizes how AI models connect to external systems. So AI is transforming threat intel. Basically, we all been more like a reactive. After the fact, we kind of investigate what's happening. But AI is transforming threat intel from more reactive to proactive, enabling organizations to predict and prevent attacks much before they even occur. So that's where AI is go-to for all the threat intel and also all the threat hunting investigations. Um, you can see how some of the key metrics that we are measuring are like reduce in false positive and faster threat detection. This way we can also increase the threat coverage and reduce the analysis time. So just in the graph you can see how AI is reducing a lot of time for the false positives and actually threat detection, etc. So this where we are kind of experimenting at Adobe, where LLMs and MCP as like a perfect intelligence partnership. The true revolution happens when we combine both LLMs and MCP. This creates like an intelligent system that process vast amount of data and while also maintaining access to some of the secure internal resources. These can be incident data, these can be vulnerabilities data, or this can be feeds that you have subscription to. This combination leads to some enhanced threat detection, as LLMs are good at analyzing the data, but MCPs can provide you that additional link. So that's the very crucial link. This system transforms LLM into comprehensive threat intelligence platform, which is capable of processing, correlating, and acting on security data at large or unprecedented scale. So moving ahead, we're gonna show you a proposed architecture that we built internally or like kind of experimenting ourselves. This like we call it like intelligence pipeline. This architecture represent a shift in how we leverage AI to aggregate, enrich, and operationalize the data. So you can see how we are aggregating feeds, dark web chatter, and also brand analysis and some like incident data, etc. How we take all these feeds because these come in structured and unstructured format. Then what we do is like we kind of give it to LLMs, and we also have the additional MCP layer where it connects to various other company resources and it kind of enrich. Then what we do is in the third step, we kind of operationalize. We just not only take the intelligence, we give it to the proper teams. It can be product teams, it can be incident response, detection team, or threat hunting team. These are the some of the teams that you can think of like a customers of our enrich intelligence. Moving ahead, this is some of the implementation that we did ourselves at Adobe. Implementing this architecture creates a seamless flow of intelligence from raw data to actionable insights, which empowers our security teams with unprecedented speed. The main focus is like MCP helps us be like a secure diplomatic channel where it extract all our past incidents, because whenever there is some new attack vector, it can correlate with all our past incident and can predict something is gonna about to happen, and it can alert all our incident response teams with like a right information at the right time. So this is one of the thing that we are currently experimenting. And also you can see how the time reduction has happening when we kind of use the traditional systems and when we use our AI system. The time taken to respond and act upon intelligence has massively been reduced. Moving ahead, we see AI as like a amplifier, like an intelligence amplifier. You can see some of the strengths of AI in the chart. Like it is very good with pattern recognition, data processing. These are the some of the tasks like human would often struggle, but AI is very good with trying to enrich a lot of data and do some pattern recognition. Just moving ahead, right? We so far discussed a lot of things about how AI is like able to process ton of data, and it can enrich and by doing context analysis and pattern recognition. We need to understand, it's crucial to understand that the goal is not to replace human intelligence, but it is to amplify it or like enhance it. The future of intelligence lies in creating powerful partnerships with human and the AI system. So you can see humans are good with some of the critical judgment or the creative thought process that like AI systems often lack. Humans bring the intuition, creativity, and also the ethical judgments. That is very important because AI can't act on its own. It does have certain limitations. So together, AI identifies patterns, analyzes complex data, and draws some conclusions. But if we have human in loop, it kind of enhances and provides more context to what the intelligence is and how to take critical decisions at the right time. That is where we call it like a human AI partnership. So basically, this essentially creates a feedback loop. So when AI system gives some intelligence, human analyzes it or just try to glance over it, and then does a feedback loops to the back to the AI system, so that AI system can continuously improve and be better at its analysis. Just moving ahead, right? We have delved more into how intelligence evolved from ancient age. We also looked at how it evolved in Cold War era. Then we saw problems with data and how human bottleneck is there. Then how we are solving with AI, and how our three-step procedure of extract, enrich, and operationalize is happening. But let's also delve deeper into why human elements remains irreplaceable. So if you can see in this chart, right, like just as I mentioned, right, human is very good with the critical thinking and ability to like novel threats. So that's one key ability for humans to differentiate with human AI. But the some of the AI capabilities, including pattern recognition, data processing, and consistency, so they can keep doing same repeated task at high scale. So if we can combine both, that makes the system like very good. So the human analyst grasp the cultural, geopolitical, and organizational nuances that are required, which AI often struggle with. So if we can do like a synergy between both AI system and humans, this creates this beautiful partnership. And they also excel at strategic thinking and anticipating adversarial motivations, and we also can develop like counter strategies. By combining both these technologies, we believe that human intelligence plus AI is the way to go. Yeah, so yeah, you, as we mentioned, right? So from data to enrichment and extraction, you can also apply this key takeaways in your cyber threat intelligence teams. Feel free to connect with both of us at these links. If you have any questions, we are happy to.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. You're using for your threat intelligence, right?
Mhm.
So, for your LLM, do you train the model from scratch? The only reason why I'm saying that, because if you're using existing model, whatever, DeepSeek or whatever,
Mhm.
it could be already contaminated, right?
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, you're adding your feeds from different threat blocks, so that when you used the LLM, when you ask for information, it might give you contaminated data, because if you're coming out from not scratch. So my question, do you start with a plain thing and then just keep on training your own model?
Mhm.
Or do you use some existing?
Yeah, we kind of tried multiple approaches. We even tried some fine-tuning approaches. We took some like available open source models and also some proprietary models that Adobe currently uses. We kind of fine-tune it and try to understand if I understand your problem of contamination, but we try to see if we can fine-tune that, because training these many large models with proper threat intel would be difficult challenge, right? So we kind of use existing models and also a little bit of fine tuning to that to improve our customized threat intel workflows.
Yeah, and also talking a little bit on the data aspect of it. Exactly. So yeah, so for the data, I don't think any organizations can solely rely on the open source data that is available out there for their training purposes. The real key over here is to use your organization's data. Then only it can be customized and tailored for your own organization. Because again, if you put garbage data in, it is going to spit out garbage. So the challenge that we run into is like getting that data within the organization for the model, so that it can start generating appropriate output that is tailored and crafted specifically for your use case and specifically for your organization. Otherwise, you're just using an open source model and you like relying on any information that is available out there on internet. But the components that we are using to ingest data from externally is a lot of threat intel reports, both OSINT, like open source intelligence reports, as well as paid commercial vendors who typically provide us threat feeds and threat data.
Yeah, okay, got it. So you just go grab commercial ones, the ones you're paying for it, and all other open source, right?
Yeah.
And you take it and ingest it into the model and then
Yep.
train it for the future use.
Exactly. And the other angle of this is also using the existing organization data, like our past incident reports, our past alerts, our vulnerabilities that we have in our environment, our asset inventory and stuff like that. So all that gets feed, because it's really about marrying both external data that gets available as intelligence, which is again raw format of intelligence that we get, and tying it together with internal contextualization of the organization to get like tailored response or tailored analysis being performed.
Okay. And so for, just one last question, you external report, you have to scrape the data,
Yeah.
right? Because you wouldn't take the data format, so you have to take it and do your processing or whatever. Format.
Yeah, generally these reports are like very unstructured and it can be like a PDF reports, or it can be like on the internet. We kind of implemented our own custom parsers, and also yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do consume like external intelligence that I mentioned, but what the system also does once it's able to extract all the IOCs, like a typical scenario that we use this day in and day out is like all of us keep reading about new threats every day, new excellent research articles out there talking about this threat, the IOCs that are mentioned in the threat. So our system kind of analyze all that. Whatever news article or research article would be out there, Slackbot kind of analyzes that, it takes that as an input, analyze the content, extracts all meaningful information, including indicators of compromise, and also contextual knowledge about threat actors that are involved and vulnerabilities, whatever would be referenced in that research article. It builds that knowledge base, and once it has that knowledge, it also runs automated fleet sweep in our environment, where it goes and starts identifying those indicators across our log sources, like as you mentioned, be it like network events, be it like EDR endpoint agent or log sources, cloud log sources that we ingest at a centralized place. So it will run automated fleet sweep and generate back analysis of threat that it analyzed, meaning, is there any probing in our environment? Was there anything identified in our environment? Were those IOCs matched in any of the log sources that it performed fleet sweep against? And it reports back with a summary of what was the first time that activity was detected and how that pattern has evolved over the period of time. That really helps researchers to go in and deep dive and use that as a starting point from human perspective to go in and analyze further. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for listening to our talk. And we are here if you have more questions.